one of the first people that called back was a guy who owned a warehouse. Said, "Hey, you mailed me about my house, but I have a warehouse for sale. Do you guys do those?" And I was like, "Sure." I didn't know anything about it. Drove down there with a like generic printed out purchase and sale agreement. Met with the guy. He walked through the warehouse and pointed out a bunch of stuff that I barely understood, and I just kind of nodded and listened. And he wanted 500K for it, and it sounded like a decent deal. It was in town Atlanta. And so I got under contract and was like, well, now I got to find somebody that knows what the heck they're doing. And then reached out to some local folks in commercial at the time. They went through that deal and it ended up turning out being a deal.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest is a former intensive care physician's assistant in the greater Atlanta area who now focuses on commercial real estate deals across multiple different asset classes, including industrial, retail, office, and multifamily sectors. Please welcome John Heisler. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Dylan. I'm excited.
It's great to have you on. Great to have you. And I was just noticing we've been getting a lot of investors in the Atlanta area. I think maybe Atlanta's a hotbed of real estate, yeah?
It really is. I've always heard from friends, Phoenix is the top investor market, but Atlanta's pretty dang close. On the residential side, something like a third of all the houses here are owned by investors. Like, it's a really hot investor market.
How do the locals and people who may not be investors themselves, but maybe raising a family or maybe, recent college graduates, so on and so forth, how do they feel about a market that's very investor heavy?
Well, I think they're just starting to realize it, to be honest, but it's just an awesome city. It's such a huge, sprawling city. There's something for everybody. There's a different area for whatever your taste is. You may want the high-end suburban lifestyle. You may want the high-end in-town lifestyle, and everything in between. There's just a ton for everybody. And it's like 15, 20 counties at this point are part of the Atlanta MSA, so it's huge.
Now, I think, with your background, it's unique. I've had a couple people in the medical space who either do some type of very passive real estate investing, or I had a very interesting story. I had a gentleman who was a surgical dentist. I forget the technical name for it, but he ended up getting vaccine injured and basically got arthritis and could no longer be a dentist, as in the same capacity. So he ended up moving into medical office space and really helping a lot of dentists and I believe doctors get into their own buildings. But I'm curious, how did you get involved in real estate?
Yeah, so I kind of looked at it first from the lens of, so I was working in the hospital, I was working extra shifts, I had young kids, I was teaching as an adjunct professor even at the time, and I made a good salary, but I was really trading my time for money is the way, started looking at it more and more. And so I was really looking for some kind of reliable cash flow to come in that didn't require me to go sit at the hospital. And at the time I was working, nights, weekends, holidays, worked every third Christmas basically, and didn't see my kids. So really kind of wanted a more steady, regular schedule and kind of be able to work on my own terms.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
So like a lot of folks, heard about real estate investing through Bigger Pockets and different podcasts like that, bought a couple of rentals and really thought, they were going to change my life. And I guess they eventually did, but a couple $100 cash flow a month, isn't really going to change anyone's life in a meaningful way.
Yeah, no.
So then got into it kind of more full time, but I really did both for a long time together. Would go to appointments and look at houses or commercial buildings, and then go work a shift the next day in the hospital. So doing shift work, I think, allowed me to do both together. And then finally just grew it big enough to pull the plug entirely and just do real estate.
I want to ask you about that balancing act, because that's no easy task, right? And I think a lot of people who may be listening may think, that sounds like a lot of people in the medical field could get very, burnt out. Did you experience or did you see any of that? You mentioned working nights, not seeing family and so on and so forth. Is that something that happens in the medical field? Does burnout happen, or is it very much prevented these days?
Oh, it's a huge issue in the medical field. You can talk to anybody in any specialty, and it's anybody, whether it's a nurse, physician, PA, every kind of part of the field is experiencing that right now. It's just, it's a tough field to be in for a long time. It really is.
Now, in the medical path, I've spoken with so many different people who are investors, but oftentimes what I've seen is it kind of forks off. You have people, and I might put you into this category where you say, man, how can I get back more of my time? I'm still relatively young. How do I do this? Versus other people who may be, career lifelong, and then they're looking at, well, what do I do in retirement? Or, I have this nest egg. What do I do? Was there any kind of pivotal moment for you where either there was an aha or, hey, this can be my full time? Or was it kind of a progressive over time? I'm seeing some movement here. I could potentially do real estate full time.
Yeah, I think it really was, looking back on it, a gradual change. It was, I really, being in medicine and being in the ICU in particular was a big part of my identity for a long time.
Sure.
And I was good at it. I liked it. I still miss it to some degree today. So it was a slow change, and it took several years. And at some point, it was like, this doesn't have to be a part of what I do anymore. I don't have to do this in the same way. And then it just started to make more financial sense to focus full time on real estate investing. But there's a period of time where I was, considered full-time hours in both. Just working a ton. Yeah.
I can only imagine. I think when a lot of people are listening to this, they'll be asking, well, I'm working a job. How do I get started in real estate? Did you have people that were in your immediate circle? We were talking a little bit before the podcast here, Bigger Pockets, but did you have anybody that was a mentor to you, or was it a lot of, learning on the fly?
It was a little bit of both. I think one of the things I've always been good at is I'm not afraid to kind of fail forward and try things and see what happens. Like if you don't have that, it's really hard to get started in this business. But it was a lot of podcasts and books up front. And I've been in several different kind of education programs and masterminds over the years. And each one kind of added a new tool in the toolbox that really helped me get where I'm at today. And then kind of connecting with people that are doing the same thing you're doing, that are, maybe a little bit farther ahead, that can give you advice on the way, stuff like that's huge.
I'm curious, what were the pivot points in your business if I recall correctly, started out looking at some creative ways to get involved, wholesale and so on and so forth. Now your focus is commercial, and I think a lot of people would.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Like to get into commercial. I can tell you as a realtor myself, a lot of realtors want to know how to get into commercial. What was the progression like for you, and how did you ultimately land on and decide on commercial?
So I knew when I first started buying single family houses, I knew it wasn't going to be fast enough. So I started sending out mailers to residential houses just to buy them at a deeper discount. And then I thought maybe I'd burr them, maybe I'd wholesale some, but just get deal flow moving. And on that first set of postcards I sent out, one of the first people that called back was a guy who owned a warehouse. Said, "Hey, you mailed me about my house, but I have a warehouse for sale. Do you guys do those?" And I was like, "Sure." I didn't know anything about it. Drove down there with a generic printed out purchase and sale agreement. Met with the guy. He walked through the warehouse and pointed out a bunch of stuff that I barely understood, and I just kind of nodded and listened. And he wanted $500K for it, and it sounded like a decent deal. It was in town Atlanta. And so I got under contract and was like, well, now I got to find somebody that knows what the heck they're doing. and then reached out to some local folks in commercial at the time. They went through that deal, and it turned out being a deal. So, yeah.
I think, that deal probably was a divine intervention in some way. You mentioned warehouse deal, right? Were the next couple of months or years, were you thinking, okay, I've got proof of concept in the warehouse, let me expand on this? Or were you dabbling in other asset classes as well and still figuring out what was going to work?
Yeah, I didn't, even though I kind of got started in that way, I probably never would have done commercial, to be honest, without that call. So I'm very thankful that guy called. But even then, I didn't know the secret sauce. I just stumbled into that building. But then the next one was a referral from somebody, and it was an office building. And this was in 2021, in the middle of COVID. Everyone's staying at home. No one's working from the office. And it was an office building, but it was a scary time to get into it, but we had a clear vision of what it could be. We started with kind of single room office tenants that had small businesses. At the time too, though, with all the stimulus programs going on, there was a ton of people that needed space for small businesses. So it was actually, oddly enough, a good time to buy that kind of office. So we bought that out of foreclosure court, actually.
Yeah.
2 buildings. And so that was our first kind of bigger deal. So I've always jumped from asset class to asset class. If someone puts a good deal in front of me, I'm going to look at it and figure out how to do it for sure.
Now, I'm familiar with single family home foreclosure auctions in Texas. Some people call it Texas Tuesday. Other people call it Super Tuesday. It's basically the first Tuesday of every month at the county courthouse steps in whichever county you're a part of. And typically you look for a very old looking, tall, building with maybe some brick on the outside. And you say, okay, that's going to be where the auction is, or very close to it. And it's so dependable. You can go to any Texas city and you'll see that type of thing, or any, the center of where the county is. I'm not, though, familiar with how commercial spaces would be foreclosed on. How did you get into that space? Because that seems like a very niche area to be investing in.
Yeah, we kind of, same thing. This one was already bank owned, so we kind of stumbled into it. But there's a very similar process in Georgia. There's Super Tuesday. And if you go look at all the addresses that a county will list, some of those will just inevitably be commercial properties. It's usually only 1 or 2 out of the list of 30, 50, 100 that might be on there, but there's definitely some commercial ones on there for sure.
And so when you were getting
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Were you kind of acutely aware that there were, different ways where these deals could be structured, or that you would have to buy it at a certain point? Was there a creative aspect to it? Did you have partners? I think a lot of people would say buying at the foreclosure auction is challenging enough, but at the commercial foreclosure auction, there's even more leverage and risk, right?
Yeah, I think what's cool about commercial is from day one, talking to folks that had done it and getting into it myself, like there was never the possibility that I was going to have, $1 million liquid at that point to go to foreclosure auction. So it was, and what's cool about commercial is some of the more creative deals that you can do them in residential as well. They're almost expected in the commercial space. Like people expect that you're going to go get maybe a bank loan and then get some equity investors that bring the capital that work with you, or maybe you're going to do a syndication fund or get a hard money loan and pair that with private capital. People are expecting that when you get into the larger numbers of the commercial space. And so it's kind of more acceptable, really, which is cool.
Now, I know for the single family homes, and this is a very niche, granular question, so maybe give away a little bit of gold, but not the entire bar, right? But for the single family homes, you have to come with basically cash or a check. When you bid on it, it's, do you have money to buy it? There's no loans. It's, I'm buying this, is the money in my account. With commercial, is it the same type of process, or is there a little bit more leeway as far as financing?
In Georgia, it's the same process. You got to have a cashier's check, so you potentially need to have a very large cashier's check on hand, but there's no rules about who brings that, right? So it can definitely be a private capital partner that you've got a prearranged JV agreement with, which is what we've done before. It's why a lot of those too will become bank owned. Like they're just not getting bid on like the single family is. So if you've got a $10 million building that's going to auction, it's likely going to get repossessed by the bank, and then you can buy it from them afterwards. So
now, I'm imagining these auctions in 2021. This is a very risky time. I would say risky, but to your point, there was a lot of people with the SBA loans, right, and the other types of stimulus that were needing office space and that were looking more remotely. So during that time, were you frequently at these auctions, or was this something that you were kind of testing out and seeing if it would work? And what was the process like? Were you buying multiples of these?
No, actually, this ended up being, for a couple of years, the only one we did out of foreclosure. We just were right place, right time. We knew that the two buildings, we had seen them. We had seen them sitting there vacant. We're trying to figure out the story behind them, realized they were going to foreclosure, and kind of swooped in then. So kind of deal by deal.
I want to pivot a bit here and ask you about your perspective on the different asset classes, right? Because you've taken a look at many, you're involved in commercial right now, but a lot of people will start off in wholesaling or in single family residential, fix and flipping, midterm, corporate housing, long-term buy and holds. I'm from Northern New Jersey originally, but we didn't, maybe they do now, but I didn't see lots of people doing short-term rentals really ever. And I don't know if they even can. I would have to take a look at it. I'm curious to get your perspective, for folks who may be starting out, is there any advice that you would give folks, or is it really a case-by-case, a deal-by-deal basis?
I would say the first thing to think about is what kind of tenants do you want to have and manage? And I kind of break them into two buckets. So storage facilities and multifamily facilities, both, you're a B2C. So your tenant is a customer. They're a regular person. They either going to live in the apartment or they're going to rent your storage space. Whereas if you're on the retail, office, industrial side, your tenant is a business. So you're more B2B, which in a perfect world, I would prefer more of those kinds of clients, because once you get that deal done and those tenants are in place, you may have a lot less active management. And so I'm being a deal person who's just okay at operating. I'd rather have a ton of industrial retail office places.
I've heard kind of a similar theme from people who talk about the types of rental properties that they want to have. And a lot of people are saying, well, if you look at storage facilities, RV parks, which is kind of a tangent space to storage facilities, kind of these land plays, especially upscale RV parks, people have told me you'll have such minimal tenant issues. I said, really? Upscale RV parks? What's that? They're like, well, you get these RV parks, you can even put entertainment, restaurants, facilities, and people from all over. And it's upscale clientele. They're going there effectively on vacation. They're going to have a good time. They're bringing their RV. They're just needing a place to park it. I said, wow, that's, and then kind of like the red car theory, you know, as soon as that person said that to me, I was seeing them all over the place. RV park, RV park. I said, I didn't notice this before, but we are coming up on time here, John. Where can folks go if maybe they are in the greater Atlanta area and have a deal that they'd like you to look at, or if they'd like to get in contact with you in some way?
Yeah. So, and I do kind of commercial education coaching, getting people to find their first commercial deal. Almost all of my clients are already investors. They're doing fix and flip, wholesale, single family, buy and hold, and they want to get into this commercial space. So that's the kind of main thing we help folks with, and it's been super successful. You can reach me at john@cre-playbook.com or head over to cre-playbook.com to check out more.
John, thank you so much for coming on the show here today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Dylan.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.